Hello, everyone. Welcome to Wicked Sports. Today we are doing our Lions post game a little bit later on. We haven't really had time to get to it because we've been a little bit busy, but get our opinion out there from the game. They did end up losing to the Packers 29-22. One little bonehead call from Dan Campbell really cost them the game. Otherwise, they probably would have won with it only being a touchdown difference. They didn't play the best game, but they at least were in it the whole time. Jordan Love had a good game, 268, 3 TDs on us. Rushing wise, they ran for 100 yards. AJ Dillon only ran for 43, but it was spread out pretty well.
I mean, if you had done this directly after the game, I probably would have been raging and kicking the screen and been really ticked off. But you that's two really bad games completely by the whole team against two really bad teams. You escaped the Bears. You didn't escape the Packers because the Packers actually have a slightly better, a decent defense, and you weren't going to do what you did to the Bears to them. And that horrible, horrible fourth down call
I
by
think
Campbell.
that is what
And he
really made the
apologized
game.
for it. He owned it. He knew it was stupid. You can almost get to the point now that he's been the coach that you almost can tell when he's going to do something like that. And it's more concerning to me that I, all these fans out here who have been on the SOL fans, um, we have to win the division. I don't care about the playoffs. I want the division. Accomplish something.
I think
Do something before you get applauded and congratulated. We all are happy with the journey so far. They're like 16-4 over the last 20 games or something like that. It's been fun, but it hasn't accomplished anything other than, some good feelings. And, you can't, I'm not trying to downplay that. This is still year 3, but in the pros, you get a very small window to succeed at. And I just feel they're blowing it right now. I don't see them winning the division if it comes down to the final 3 games, unless something really changes with Minnesota or changes with us. Right now, I think Minnesota might be a little better team than us. Maybe. We'll see tomorrow night. They play the Bears. They're not good, but we're not good right now.
Yeah. I think one thing you have to look at is Dan Campbell's first win as a coach came against the Vikings when they were winning the division and when they were 0-10-1. Your division games don't mean you're going to win them at all. Anybody can beat anybody in your division. And Dan Campbell is still at his learning, right? Even though he's been coaching for 3 years, he's learning from his mistakes. But if, again, he would have made that call on 4th and 5 from your own 20, you wouldn't have been angry if he made it. You would have been there would have been praise.
I wouldn't have been
still
angry, but I would not have praised him for it.
I would say overall there would have been praise.
You do the wrong thing and somehow it works out when you do that fourth down and crap.
And even so,
it's just not sound football.
It's really came down to just the coaching in that game because Jared Goff threw for 324 yards and 2 TDs. His main problem was he decided to run a bunch and fumbled the ball multiple times.
Yep.
If he would have kept the way he's been and just, stayed in the pocket, took a couple sacks, and just took it, the turnovers wouldn't have happened. The game might have gone differently. That was the only, I think, bad side from the player's point of view because Montgomery ran for 71 yards, Gibbs ran for 54, right? Overall, throwing wise, right. Jared Goff did not play bad. The defense, even overall, they had some hiccups here and there, but really it came down to coaching in the game.
I guess you could say that. I think, like I said, Montgomery and Gibbs have been the only 2 players in these past 2 games who have stayed good, that have still played and showed up and played well. They've been consistent. Goff has been terrible through the last 2 games. The defense has been horrid for 3 straight games, basically. They weren't good against the Chargers either. So something. I mean, I'm done thinking that they're going to have much playoff success. If they do, great. I want the division. You're still a better team than Minnesota, Green Bay, or Chicago.
Yes.
And if you don't win the division, it's a huge, huge disappointment and probably the worst ploy this franchise has ever played on its fan base. And people should be angry.
Oh yeah, if you don't win the division with the schedule you got left, people have a right to be upset, and you have to think how are you going to go through the last 6 games. You got 6 games left on the year. 3 of the teams are very beatable, and then you're going to be playing a hot Vikings team twice and the Cowboys in the last 3 games of the year. Now you should at least split the Vikings. Anyone who thinks you're probably going to sweep the Vikings at the moment probably is not happening. I see at least 2 more losses on the schedule. You could win 4 more, win 12 games, or you could win 3 more very much if you do not fix yourself and only win 11 games. 11 games is on the table, 6 losses.
Starting out 8-2, I think anything less than 12 wins is really a disappointing second half. You should get 12 wins starting out 8-12 too. 8-2. You're not asking for much. You're asking to go 4-3 over the last 7 games to go win 12 games, and they should.
They should. They should beat the Saints. They should beat the Bears again.
They should
regardless.
beat the Broncos.
They should beat the Broncos,
It's at
and
home.
you should beat the Vikings once.
Right.
That's what it should come down to. You probably will end up losing to the Cowboys, but that is your one test throughout the rest of the year. To prove you are a good team and you can win a big game, you have to beat the Cowboys. If you do not beat the Cowboys, or at least make it close, you have no hope into the playoffs. I can tell you right now, no one will have hope.
I don't even at this point. I guess that's where I differ. I don't even care about the Cowboys. I want to win the division. Once you win the division, then we could talk playoffs, one goal at a time. The playoffs aren't even in the picture right now. You're not in the playoffs. You might not make the playoffs if you keep playing like you've played the last 2 or 3 weeks. You're playing that bad where you could go on that big of a slide. These other teams are, Chicago has nothing to play for. They're going to go all out and just throw everything at you. And it'll be an outdoor game in the cold.
Currently, at the moment, the Bears are the only team with a losing record remaining on your schedule. The rest are either 500, a game above 500, or winning record, which would be the Cowboys.
Right. And Denver is an up-and-coming team. They're playing much, much better than they were playing early or on. Their defense is very good. So that's not going to be an easy win. You just have them at home. You should win that game. The Saints, you're going to have to find a way to beat them. You should beat them. I think you're a better team than them. But you just whatever is happening over the last 3 weeks needs to get fixed.
They will end up. They got a long week. They will end up figuring stuff out before they go to New Orleans. But they're really, I would say, next to the Cowboys, is going to be their toughest road game. And there's no reason why they shouldn't beat the Saints.
Well, right.
And to get that extra time to fix yourself. This is honestly probably something you needed. A little bit of a slap to the face just before you reach this final stretch.
Right.
Make yourself fix the problems that you've had the past 2 weeks that you've been getting away with, and hopefully have a good stretch into the end of the year.
This is your adversity right here. This is, like I said, this is what you need to going into the playoffs, something to give you a little test. And if you don't make it, you don't earn it. You don't deserve it. And you should get criticized because you pumped this team up. Maybe not you, but the national media, the local media. You've got this fan base in a frenzy. They're following you around the country like no other team's fan base has done, spending their hard-earned money, and you owe it to them. This is ridiculous if you blow this opportunity to win the division.
So
the playoffs are, they're always another story. They're good teams, and if you lose in the playoffs, then you lose in the playoffs.
Yeah, you likely at the moment we are going to be facing, I think, because now we are the third team in the NFC after everything that has happened. You are now playing. Well, the Vikings are now the 6th seed because the Seahawks had made a skid and have now
Right. They're going into problems too.
gone to
Pete Carroll's
7th.
ready to fire his offensive coordinator. Or
Actually, no. Right now, you would be playing. Because you're better than New Orleans. Yeah, you're going to be playing the Vikings still in the 6th seed.
Well, I think that's what it's going to come down to. Can you beat the Vikings? And that's unfortunate because I didn't want it to come down to that. I thought you could beat the Packers. I thought you could beat the Bears. Jesus Christ, they suck.
And you know what? Funny enough, as much as people say our division sucks, there's a chance for 3 of our teams to be in the playoffs.
If that's the case, then the NFC is garbage.
Because, right?
And you should still win your division. That's all I want. I want you win the division. We could talk playoffs after that, see who you're playing.
Right now, the Packers sit literally a game out of the 7th seed, with the Seahawks being 6-5 and the Packers being 5-6. So there is a chance that you could see 3 NFC North teams in the playoffs, with the Lions still winning the division, which would again be kind of surprising with how we thought the division would be this year. We thought it'd be terrible, but if you end up getting 3 teams out of it in the playoffs, that's the exact opposite of what you thought was going to happen. But now, again, you have to fight for a decent spot in the playoffs, even if you're thinking playoffs. First off is the division, and you're still going to probably need 12 wins to win the division.
I think 12 is the number you're going to have to shoot for. So that would be, basically right now they're 8-3. You got
4 more
6 games left. So you got to go 4-2. You got to go 4-2 over the last 6 games. Or can you do that?
They should. They should be able to
do that. No, I'm not saying they shouldn't. I'm just saying that's up to them.
They should very well. They could win their next 4 games. That's just the thing. We do not know what's going to happen anymore just because of how they've been playing. Hopefully, this long week fixes things, and we can get back on track. Everyone's going to hit a bad spot.
Right.
Everyone. The one last thing I will say: every single Lions fan who is getting upset over all these losses drastically is acting as if they are the Chiefs, they're the Eagles, that they don't know how to lose. The fact is, you have lost for 30 plus years. Act like you know what you're doing when you lose, because your team is not going to win all the time. Every single person out there who instantly pressed the panic button, you sound like the Chiefs fans we were hearing when we were down in Kansas City after they lost to us, that the season was already over, that they weren't going to make the playoffs, that Patrick Mahomes sucks, and they need to find a new coach at their one game. Just calm down. You know how to lose. You've lost for 60 plus years. Act like you know where we're at, because you're in a spot where you aren't used to being, and you know how to handle a loss.
Yeah, well, we're used to losses. It's just that I think what makes it hard is that it's just we've been pumped with this. We're going to the playoffs, we're going to the Super Bowl since summer, and we got off to a great start. And it's just, you don't mind losing to Seattle and Baltimore. You understand that we're still not at that level yet, but it's losing to garbage teams.
Yeah.
Chicago and Green Bay are garbage teams. You shouldn't lose to them.
No, you should not lose.
And and not lose in the fashion that you have lost, playing atrocious football. And as you pointed out, going back to what made Goff good was when a play wasn't there, he took the sack. He is not a scrambler.
She tried to do.
If your O-line, which has played like garbage for 2 games, and I agree with that, then hey, you know what? Goff, he might take a step here, step there, but the minute that guy has to start scrambling for yards, you're in trouble. If that's what he's resorting to,
because
it's just that O-line has been awful.
That was the biggest. I bet if Jared
against a depleted Packer team,
I bet if Goff would have taken the sacks, the game would have went differently instead of running and because 2 of the fumbles that happened.
Right.
or because he scrambled.
How many points did we give them? We gave them a touchdown off of that.
Well, and that one touch and that one
Right,
fumble.
14 points.
And I will say that one fumble they called was not a fumble because I think he did throw the ball forward.
I did too.
That was 7 points right there.
It was a very close call.
You take that 7 points away, it's 22-22.
Right. Oh, I agree with that.
So, yeah, the refs were involved in it a little bit, but not to the point where it completely mattered. There was just a couple calls that probably would have changed how the game went, and it happens. Everyone's used to that stuff happening. But hopefully, we get back on track, have a good last 6 weeks, and we can relax at least a little bit until the playoff time.
Right. I mean, my old mentality is I'm trying to be realistic. And before this season, if you had asked me, not knowing what the rest of our division was like, we said, hey, let's just go to the playoffs, be in it for the division. But we started out 8-2, and the other 3 teams in our division were garbage and are still kind of garbage. Minnesota just is resilient. I don't know what the heck is with those guys. There's no way I can imagine. When they lost Kirk Cousins, I thought it was over.
And we'll see this week with Josh Dobbs.
It blows my mind. That team just won't go away, and they look good.
Yeah. But with all that being said, we're going to end it here. If you like what you see, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comments. And until next time, hope to see everybody soon.